Do not turn away from this hour. What is reaching you now did not arrive by chance, and it is not one more noise in a loud day. I am your God, and I am the one speaking. Hear me before anything else happens. Something is moving toward you. It is close. It is not a vague shadow you can push to the back of your mind, and it is not sitting far off in some distant year. It is near enough that I am speaking now instead of later. I would not lift my voice like this over something small. I am not telling you this to frighten you. Fear has never been the way I lead, but a person who has been warned walks through a door differently than a person who walks in blind. You are being warned. Take that as kindness, because kindness is exactly what it is. You felt something today, a tightness you could not name. A moment where the room seemed to hold still, and you told yourself it was nothing. It was not nothing. That awareness was mine, set in you on purpose, and you were right to notice it. You have learned to talk yourself out of that feeling. You call it nerves. You call it too much thinking. You were taught to push past the quiet in you and keep moving, because stopping feels like weakness to you. Today, I am asking you to stop, not for long, just long enough to hear me. Long ago, I woke a man in the night while a young child slept close by. I told him to rise and go, and I did not explain the whole picture to him. He did not argue with me. He did not wait for morning to weigh it out. He got up in the dark, and because he got up, the one he was guarding lived. That is how I often move. I speak before the harm, not after it. I give the instruction while there is still time to follow it, and the warning almost always sounds smaller than the thing it is protecting you from. That is why so many set it aside and keep walking. I am not putting a riddle in front of you. I am telling you plainly that in the space just ahead of you, there is a moment that will ask something of you. It may come as a decision. It may come as a conversation. It may come as one sentence you are tempted to speak. How you meet it will matter more than you know. You have already been through hard seasons. You know what it is to be handled roughly by life. So hear me clearly. This is not that. I am not bringing punishment to your door. I am bringing you understanding ahead of time so that you are not standing in the middle of something before you know what it is. You are not being set up to fail. I do not lay traps for the ones I love. What is ahead is not a test I built to catch you out. It is a place in the road where the ground is uneven, and I have chosen to walk it beside you rather than leave you to walk it alone. I know how tired you are. That is part of why I am speaking now. Weariness dulls the ear. When someone has been carrying weight for a long stretch of road, they stop listening closely and start moving out of habit. Habit is exactly what will fail you in the hour ahead. So let me sharpen you, not with alarm, with attention. Slow your breathing. Let your shoulders come down. Let the noise in your head settle until you can hear the one voice underneath all of it. That voice has been with you longer than any other, and it has never once lied to you. There is something else you need to understand. This warning is not only about avoiding harm. There is something good already growing in your life right now. It is young. It is not sturdy yet. And what is coming has the ability to press against it. You may not even be able to name that good thing yet. A door that has begun to move on its hinges. Something bruised that has begun to knit back together. A hope you have not spoken out loud because saying it felt dangerous. I see it. I planted it. And I am not willing to lose it to one careless minute. So my instruction to you is not complicated. My beloved, stay awake, stay slow, stay close to me. Those three things will carry you through what is coming with everything I have given you, still whole in your hands. I have never left you to work your life out on your own strength. And I am not starting today. I am already ahead of you on this road. I have seen the turn you have not reached yet. Nothing about what is coming surprises me, and nothing about it is larger than my hand. Understand what kind of God is speaking to you. I am not one who stands at a great distance and remarks on your troubles. I come near, I involve myself. I interrupt. When my people were walking toward a cliff they could not see, I have stopped them in the road, and I have never once apologized for the interruption. Some who hear my voice want a full map. They want every detail spelled out before they will slow down. I rarely work that way, and there is a reason. If I gave you the whole picture, you would lean on the picture. I want you leaning on me, so I give you enough light for the next step, and I ask you to trust the hand holding the lamp. Right now, in the quiet of this moment, let something in you agree with me, not with your mind first, with your spirit. Let the part of you that has always known my voice say yes. Before your reasoning catches up, that agreement is the doorway through which everything else I have to say will come. Say amen out loud if you believe my voice is reaching you right now. Now, let me tell you what to look for, because you are expecting the wrong shape. You are bracing for something loud. You are picturing a disaster with a clear announcement in front of it. That is not usually how trouble arrives. Real danger rarely knocks. It walks in, wearing ordinary clothes, at an ordinary hour, in the middle of an ordinary conversation. What is coming toward you will look normal. It may even look good. It may look like relief, or like an answer, or like a door finally opening after a long stretch of closed ones. That is what makes it difficult. You have been waiting so long for something to open that you may not stop to ask, who is holding the handle? Hear a story from my own record, because I want you to see this clearly. When my people crossed into the land I promised them, a group came to meet them. Their sandals were worn through, their bread was dry and crumbling, their clothing hung in patches. They said they had traveled from a country far away, and everything about them supported the claim. My people looked at the worn sandals. They looked at the old bread. It all made sense to their eyes, so they made an agreement with these travelers and bound themselves to it. And my word records the reason it went wrong in one short line. They did not ask me. That is the whole of it. They did not ask me, not because they were rebellious, not because they hated me, because the evidence looked so obvious that asking felt unnecessary. The sandals were worn. What more was there to know? The neighbors were not from far away at all. They lived a short walk from the camp. The worn sandals were a costume, and my people carried that agreement for generations. Because of a minute, they did not think to bring to me. I am telling you this because, in the hour ahead, something is going to look obvious to you. The evidence will seem to line up. Your reasoning will move fast and arrive at a comfortable conclusion. And in that moment, the question will not be whether you are clever enough. The question will be whether you ask me. So ask me, my child. Out loud if you must. Even 4 words will do. Even a breath in my direction while you are standing there deciding, I am not hard to reach, and I am not slow to answer when the answer is urgent. Understand something about the word familiar. You treat familiar as though it means safe. It does not. Familiar only means you have met it before. There are patterns in your life that have come around more than once, wearing a slightly different face each time, aiming at the same soft place they always aim at. You know the pattern. I mean, you may not be able to describe it, but your body knows it. There is a certain kind of person, or a certain kind of offer, or a certain kind of pressure that has cost you before. It is circling back, not to finish you. To find out if you have changed, you have changed. That is the part you keep forgetting. You are measuring yourself against who you were the last time this came around, and that measurement is out of date. Something in you has been strengthened since then. Today you will meet the same pattern with a different person standing inside your name. Now let me speak about your mouth, because this is where the greatest risk sits. In the hour ahead you may feel a strong pull to speak. Something will be said that lands wrong. Something will be implied about you that is not true. Something will demand a defense, and the words will already be forming before you have decided to use them. That pull is not from me. I saw a young king lose a nation over a single answer. His people came to him asking for a lighter load. He had older, steadier voices telling him to speak gently. He listened instead to the ones who told him to sound strong. He answered harshly, and by evening the kingdom had split in two. It never came back together. One answer, spoken fast, spoken to look strong, and the cost outlived him. I am not asking you to be silent forever. I am asking you to be slow. There is a space between what happens to you and what comes out of your mouth, and that space is where your protection lives. Most people give it away. I am asking you to hold on to it in the hour ahead. You do not owe an explanation to everyone who demands one. You do not have to defend a life I am already defending. Let me say that again, because you have never fully believed it. You do not have to defend a life that I am already defending. Silence is not surrender. When you hold your peace under pressure, you are not losing the exchange. You are refusing to hand over the one thing they came for, which is your reaction. Take that away, and there is nothing left for the moment to work with. I know what it costs you. You want to be understood. You want the record set straight. You want someone to acknowledge that you were right. And you have wanted that for a long time, in more than one situation. Set it down for now. I keep better records than they do, and I will settle every account in its proper hour. There is a strength in restraint that the world has never learned to see. It looks like nothing is happening. It looks like you let it go, but the one who can stand in the middle of provocation and not move is carrying something that cannot be taken by force. That is who I am asking you to be for the next stretch of road. Not defended, not loud, steady. Watch, ask me, and wait before you answer. Speak your amen if you are trusting me in this hour. There is one more way you can tell the difference between my voice and everything else pressing on you. Learn this, and you will never be badly deceived again. I do not rush you. Read that again and let it settle. I have called you many things and asked many things of you, but I have never stood over you, demanding an answer this second. When something is pushing you to decide right now, before you have thought, before you have prayed, before you have slept on it, that pressure did not come from my throne. Urgency and clarity are not the same thing. Urgency makes your chest tight and your thinking narrow. Clarity does the opposite. When I make something plain to you, the room gets wider, not smaller. You can breathe. You may still be uncertain about the outcome, but you are not frantic about the next step. So use that as your measure. If the pressure is squeezing you, step back from it. Whatever is real will still be there when you have prayed. Anything that cannot survive one honest pause was never meant for your hands. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. Now, let me show you how I actually speak, because you have been listening for the wrong volume. There was a prophet of mine who ran until he could not run anymore, and then he asked to die. He was worn down to the bone. I brought him to a mountain and told him to stand there because I was going to pass by. A wind came first, strong enough to break rock. I was not in the wind. Then the ground shook underneath him. I was not in the earthquake. Then fire came through. I was not in the fire. And, after all of it, when everything loud had exhausted itself, there was a low whisper. That was me. He had to cover his face to hear it. Think about that. The most dramatic display he had ever witnessed was the part where I was not speaking. The whisper was where I was. That is what is happening in you. You have been waiting for me to arrive with force, and while you were waiting for the earthquake, I have been speaking underneath your ribs in a voice so quiet you keep dismissing it. The signal you have been ignoring is the one you have been asking for. I want you to notice something about how I built you. There is a knowing in you that runs ahead of your reasoning. Your mind puts things together with evidence and argument. Your spirit does not need the argument. It arrives first, and it arrives without proof, and it is right far more often than you allow it to be. When those two disagree, you almost always side with your mind. You do it because your mind can explain itself and your spirit cannot. But an explanation is not the same as truth. Your mind can build a reasonable case for a thing that will cost you dearly. Your spirit will simply say no and offer you nothing to hold up in court. Side with your spirit. It is the older witness, and it is closer to me. Let me tell you about a man who was traveling a road he should not have been on. His animal stopped in the path and would not move. He struck it, it moved again, and then it pressed him against a wall. He struck it again. The third time, it simply lay down beneath him, and he was furious. He could not see what the animal saw. There was a messenger of mine standing in that road with a drawn blade. The stubbornness he was beating was the only thing keeping him alive. His anger was aimed at his own rescue. You have done this. There have been times when something in you refused to go forward, and you forced it. You called yourself afraid. You called yourself unspiritual. You pushed through the resistance because pushing through is what you have been praised for your whole life. Hear me. Some of that resistance was me, not all of it. Fear is real, and fear lies. But there is a difference between the fear that shrinks your world and the quiet refusal that plants its feet. And by now, you have felt both often enough to tell them apart. In the hour ahead, if something in you plants its feet, do not beat it into motion. Stop. Ask me what is standing in the road. I will tell you. I am not in the habit of hiding my reasons from someone who genuinely wants to know them. And if I do not answer immediately, that silence is an answer too. It means wait. Waiting is not nothing. Waiting is an action, and it is often the strongest one available to you. You have spent years believing that being still meant being passive. It never did. Standing still while everything around you is moving takes more strength than moving does. Anyone can be swept along. Only someone anchored can hold position. You are anchored. I set that anchor myself deeper than you can see from where you stand. That is why the pressure of this hour will move things around you without moving you. I told you there is something good already forming in your life. I want to spend time on that now, because protecting it is half the reason I am speaking. You have been so focused on what is wrong that you have not accounted for what is right. Something has begun. It is quiet. It has not produced results you can point to yet. And because you cannot point to it, you have not been guarding it. Here is how new things work in my hands. They start small and they start hidden. A grain goes into the ground and disappears. For a stretch of time there is nothing to see, and anyone judging by appearance would say nothing is happening. That is exactly when the most is happening. Do not despise the small beginning. You have a habit of doing that. If a thing does not arrive fully grown, you assume it is not from me. But nothing I have ever built arrived fully grown. Everything I make comes up from underneath. Let me tell you about a woman who was out of options. Her household was in debt, and the collectors were coming for the two people she loved most. She had nothing left in the house but a single small jar with a little oil in it. I told her through my prophet to borrow every empty vessel she could find. Not a few, every one. Then she was told to go inside her own house, shut the door behind her, and pour. Notice the door, she was told to shut it. What happened next was not for the street to see. She poured from that small jar, and it kept pouring vessel after vessel until there were no more empty containers left to fill. The oil stopped only when the room ran out of room. Then the debt was paid, and the two she loved were kept. I want you to see two things in that. The first is that the amount in her hand was never the limit. The limit was how many empty vessels she was willing to gather. The second is that it happened behind a closed door. There are things in your life right now that need a closed door. Not because they are shameful, because they are young. A young thing does not need an audience. It needs quiet. And it needs time. So stop announcing it. Stop laying it out for people who have never once been glad for you. You have a habit of taking the newest, most tender thing in your life and handing it to whoever asks. And then you wonder why the joy leaks out of it. Guard the door. Pour in private. Let the results speak later. When the thing is strong enough to be seen, there is one more thing that will come for what is forming in you, and it will not come as an attack. It will come as an invitation. I had a man rebuilding a broken wall. The city he loved had been in ruins for years, and he had finally gotten the work moving. His opponents saw they could not stop him by force, so they changed tactics. They sent him a friendly message. Come down and meet us on the plain. Let us talk. Just a conversation 4 times, they asked. 4 times he sent back the same answer. I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. He was not being rude. He was being accurate. He understood something you need to understand today. There was nothing wrong with the plane. The problem was that he was on the wall, and the wall was where the work was. And every step down was a step away from it. You are going to be invited down. Something will present itself as reasonable, harmless, even overdue, a conversation you should have, a situation you should address, a person you should finally deal with, and it will all sound so sensible that refusing will feel like avoidance. Ask one question: does this take me up, or does it take me down? Not whether it is fair, not whether they deserve an answer, whether it moves you toward the work I have given you or away from it. You do not have to attend every meeting you are called to. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to descend to the level of every argument in order to prove that you could have won it. Stay on the wall. I know this is hard for you because you were raised to be reachable. You answer, you show up, you explain. Being unavailable feels to you like being unkind. But there is a season for open hands and a season for a closed door, and I am telling you plainly which season you are in. The ones who love you will still be there when the wall is finished. The ones who only wanted you off the wall will lose interest, and their leaving will teach you something you needed to learn anyway. Let me speak to the tiredness now, because I know the door and the wall both take strength you feel short of. You have been holding a great deal together with very little help. You have been the steady one in rooms where no one asked whether you were steady, and you have started to believe that if you stop holding, everything falls. That is not true. I am the one holding. You are leaning against something that does not depend on your grip. You may loosen your hands without the world coming apart, and you may rest without losing your place. So rest tonight. Not because the danger is gone, but because rest is part of how I prepare you. A tired person makes hasty choices. A rested person waits well. I would rather you meet the hour ahead unhurried and clear than exhausted and impressive. What is forming in you is worth this care. I would not warn you over something disposable. The strength of a warning tells you the value of what is being protected, and I am speaking to you with everything I have. Now I am going to tell you something about the prayers you thought went nowhere. Listen closely, because this will change how you understand the last several years of your life. There was a man who prayed for understanding and then waited. 3 weeks went by. He ate almost nothing. He stayed in that posture day after day with no reply, and by the end of it he was worn thin and beginning to wonder whether he had been speaking into an empty sky. When the answer finally reached him, it came with an explanation he had not expected. He was told that his words had been heard on the very first day, not the 20th, the first. The reply had been sent immediately, and it had met resistance on the way. Sit with that, my child. He had spent 21 days believing he had not been heard, and he had been heard within the hour. What he interpreted as my absence was a contested road. There was pressure against the answer, not against the asking. And when the resistance held too long, I sent the captain of my own host to break through it, and the message arrived. I am telling you this because you have your own count of days. You know exactly which prayer it is. You stopped bringing it to me because bringing it up again hurt more than leaving it alone. You decided the silence meant no. The silence did not mean no. Some of what you asked me for has been in motion the entire time, moving through ground you cannot see. Against pressure you were never asked to fight. You have been judging the whole matter by the only part of it that was visible to you, which was your own waiting room. Do not build your understanding of me out of what you can see. You are looking at one small window and drawing conclusions about the whole house. There was a servant of my prophet who woke early one morning and looked out over the city. It was surrounded, horses, chariots, soldiers on every side. He ran back inside in a panic, asking what they were going to do. The prophet was not alarmed. He asked me to open the young man's eyes, and when they were opened, he saw the hillside above the enemy filled with horses and chariots of fire. The help had been there the whole time. It had been there while he panicked. Nothing changed in the field that morning, except what he could perceive. That is your situation more often than you know. You have counted the opposition carefully, and never once counted what stands on the hill. You are precise about your problems and vague about my resources. So you live braced when you could live steady. There have been nights in your life when something turned in your favor and you never learned why. A situation that should have crushed you simply lost its momentum. A person who was determined to harm you moved away or moved on. A threat came right up to your door and then stopped there. You called it luck. You called it a close call. It was not either of those. I have settled entire matters in a single night before, and the ones who woke in the morning found the field changed without a sword being lifted by the people I was defending. I do not need you to fight what I have already handled. I need you to stop rehearsing a battle I have finished. Now hear something about those who have set themselves against you. There was a man in a palace who built a structure meant to destroy someone he hated. He measured it. He had it made high enough that the whole city would see it. He went to bed satisfied, and by the end of the following day the thing he had built was used on him instead. I did not need to construct anything to answer him. He had already done the work himself. That is very often how it goes. Malice is a poor builder. Given enough time, it collapses inward on the one who made it, and I do not have to lift a hand to arrange that, so take your attention off them. You have given years of thought to people who no longer deserve a single minute of it. You have argued with them in your head, won speeches you will never deliver, and rehearsed old wounds until you knew them by heart. All of that is time taken out of your one life and handed to someone who does not even know they have it. I will handle them. I am better at it than you are, and I am not emotional about it. And there is something else, harder to hear but truer than anything you have believed about your past. What was aimed at your harm has not stayed harmful. I have taken more than one act of cruelty and made it the exact door through which the person walked into their purpose. Think of the young man sold by his own household and carried to a foreign country in chains. Years later, he stood in front of the same people with power to end them, and he told them plainly that what they intended for harm, I intended for good. He did not pretend it was not cruel. He named it as cruelty, and then told them what I had done with it. I am not asking you to call your wounds a blessing. They were not. I am telling you that I am able to take what was done to you and set it to work for a purpose those people never imagined and would not have chosen. That is not the same as excusing them. It is bigger than that. So stand where you are and stop carrying the weight of your own defense. The road ahead of you has been walked already by me. The resistance you cannot see is being handled by hands stronger than yours, and the hour that is coming has no power to take from you what I have decided to keep. Let your amen be heard if your faith is still standing. Now let me tell you what happens on the other side of this hour, because there is another side and you will reach it. The pressure will ease. The thing that was approaching will pass through or pass by, and the air around you will change. You will notice it in your body before you notice it in your thinking. Something in your chest will loosen, and you will realize you have been braced for days. That is when I need you to be careful. And this is the part most people miss entirely. They hold steady through the difficulty and then let go completely the moment it lifts. They guard the gate all night and leave it open at dawn. Two things will come for you after this passes. I want you to know both of them by name before they arrive. The first is second thought. You will begin to wonder whether you handled it correctly. You will replay the moment and find angles you did not consider. You will ask whether you were too cautious, whether you missed an opportunity, whether the whole warning was your own imagination working overtime. Understand where that comes from. It is not from me. I do not bring you through something with clarity and then hand you confusion about it afterward. When I correct you plainly, and you know exactly what I mean. What arrives as a fog of doubt over a decision you made in obedience did not come from my throne. You handled it. Let that be finished. The second thing is stranger, and it catches people who are otherwise strong. You will feel a pull back toward the very thing you stepped away from. It will not feel like rebellion. It will feel like curiosity, a small wondering about what would have happened, a quiet sense that maybe you were too harsh, Maybe there was more there. Maybe you should reach out one more time just to see. That pull is the oldest trick there is, and it works because it does not feel like danger. It feels like an open question. I brought a whole people out of a land that had ground them down for generations. Within weeks, they were talking about the food. They remembered cucumbers and melons and onions and garlic. They spoke about that place with something close to longing, and they had wept there their entire lives. That is what familiarity does to memory. It edits. It keeps the taste and deletes the chains. So when your mind starts serving up a warm version of something that cost you dearly, know what is happening. You are not remembering. You are being recruited. Do not go back, my beloved. What you stepped away from was not a mistake to correct. It was a door closed on purpose, and I closed it with you. Now hear the good part. Because I did not bring you through a narrow place, just to leave you standing in it when you refuse something that was not yours. A space opens. You will feel that space, and you will not like it at first. Emptiness makes you nervous. You are used to full hands even when what filled them was hurting you, and an open space feels like a problem to solve. It is not a problem, my child. It is a room I am preparing, so do not rush to fill it. This is my clearest instruction for the days just ahead. Do not take the first thing that presents itself simply because standing in an open room is uncomfortable. What is coming to fill that space is better than what left it. And it is not in a hurry because it does not need to be. Let me be specific about what I am moving toward you. There is provision that has been held in the wrong hands, and I am moving it. Not because those hands are being punished, though some are, but because it was never theirs to hold. What was stored up in places that do not honor me has a way of coming loose, and I know precisely where it is going. There are deaths that have followed you for years, and I am not impressed by their age. A thing does not become permanent simply because it has lasted a long time. What has been draining you month after month is going to stop draining you. And you will notice the quiet where the pressure used to be. There is a weariness in your body that no amount of sleep has touched. I am dealing with that. Strength is going to return in a way you cannot account for by anything you did differently. You will simply notice one morning that you got up without dread, and you will not know when that changed. There are those you love who are woven into this, and I have not forgotten one of them. The ones you carry to me by name, the ones you pray for without ever saying the words out loud, the ones whose troubles wake you in the night. I see the whole household. What I am doing in you does not stop at the edges of you. And there is a door that has been closed so long you stopped checking it. I am opening it, not part way, not as a test, opening it in a season where you have the wisdom to walk through it well, which you did not have the last time you knocked. Now let me speak about rest, because you will be tired when this passes, and you will try to push through the tiredness. One of my prophets collapsed under a tree in the wilderness and asked to die. I did not lecture him. I did not question his faith. I sent food and I let him sleep. Then I woke him, gave him more, and let him sleep again. Only after that did I speak to him about the road ahead. And it was a long road, and he walked it. That is how I restore someone, not with a speech, with bread and sleep and time. So when this pressure lifts, eat something and rest, and let me handle the rest of it. You are not lazy for needing that. You are a living thing, and living things recover. I am not finished with you. This hour is not the summit of your life. It is a narrow section of a much longer road, and what you learn passing through it will serve you for years. There is a reason this is happening now, and it is larger than the hour itself. I want you to understand it before I finish. You are being sharpened for something. The awareness I am asking of you today is not a one-time requirement for one difficult afternoon. It is a skill, and I am teaching it to you now because you are going to need it later, in a season where more depends on your judgment than depends on it today. There was a boy who slept in my house as a servant. He heard a voice in the night and assumed it was the old man he worked for. He got up, went to him, and was sent back to bed. It happened again and again. 3 times he heard me, and 3 times he ran to a human being. He was not stubborn. He simply did not know the sound of my voice yet, and no one had taught him. Finally, the old man understood what was happening and told the boy what to say. So when I called the 4th time, the boy answered, "Speak, for I am listening." From that night forward, he never mistook me for anyone else, and he heard me for the rest of his long life. Everyone who hears me clearly was once someone who did not. There was a stretch of years where you were running to the wrong doors with my voice in your ears. Those years were not wasted. That was how you learned the difference. And today when I speak, you may argue with it, but I want to show you one more thing, because it tells you what kind of God has been arranging your steps. There was a man praying on a rooftop in the middle of the day, and I gave him something to see that unsettled everything he had been taught. At the same hour in another town, a foreign officer who had never belonged to my people was also praying. And I spoke to him too. Neither knew about the other. Then I moved them toward each other. Messengers on the road, an invitation, a house full of people waiting. And when the 2 finally stood face to face, the man from the rooftop said the thing I had brought him there to understand, that I show no partiality, that there is no one outside the reach of what I am doing. 2 people, 2 separate roads, one intention holding both ends. That is how I work, and that is how you came to be hearing my voice on this particular day. You have wondered whether you count, whether the general goodness you believe about me applies to your specific life, in your specific circumstances. With your specific history, it does. There is no category of person I attend to more carefully than you. There is no line you fell behind. And here is what I am doing with the discernment I am building in you. I am not making you cautious. I am making you useful. There was a moment in one of my prophets' lives where he stood in my presence and heard me ask a question aloud. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? He was not chosen for being flawless. He had just admitted he was not. He answered anyway. Here I am. Send me. That question is still being asked, and you are in the room when it is asked. What you are learning in this narrow hour, the pausing, the asking, the refusing to be hurried, is not only for your own protection. There are people around you who are about to walk into decisions with no one to steady them. And you are going to be the steady one. You know how it feels to be unwarned. That is exactly why you will recognize it in someone else's face. What you are passing through is making you the person you needed when no one was there. So carry this forward, not as fear, as attention. When something feels rushed, slow it down. When something feels unclear, wait for it to clear. When something feels wrong, step back from it and ask me. Those 3 habits will save you from more trouble in your remaining years than any strategy you could devise. Now receive what I am placing on you. I set a covering over your comings and goings. Let the plans made against you fall apart in their own hands. Let the pressure that has followed you lose its grip and lose interest. Let doors open in front of you before you have to knock twice. Let provision find you from directions you never expected. Let your mind be quiet at night. Let your body carry its work without breaking. Let your judgment be clear at the exact moment you need it and not 1 minute later. Let the peace I give you be the kind that does not depend on your circumstances behaving. Let the ones you love be kept. Let your house be a place where I am welcome and where tired people can breathe. Let what you build outlast you. Let the good you have done quietly return to you in ways you cannot trace. And let this word stay with you, not as an impressive moment you once had, but as something that changes how you walk from here. The hour ahead is real. I have not exaggerated it, and I will not soften it. But you are not walking into it alone, and you are not walking into it uninformed, and those two things together are enough. I have gone ahead of you. I have looked at the turn you have not reached. I have measured what is waiting there against what I have placed in you, and I am not concerned. You will come through this, not barely, not damaged. You will come through it steadier than you went in. So lift your head, my beloved. Stop bracing. Take one full breath and let it out slowly. And understand that the God who made everything you can see has taken the time to warn one person by name before the moment arrived. That is how much you matter to me. Go carefully, go slowly, go with your ears open and your mouth in no hurry. And know that every step you take from here is a step I am already standing in. There is one more thing I would place in your hands before this hour arrives. Do not measure the strength of what is forming in you by how quiet it still is. Quiet does not mean fragile. Quiet often means protected. I have kept more than one work of mine from premature exposure, and what I shield I also sustain. The same hand that warns you is the hand that feeds what is growing. You do not have to force it into daylight before its time. You do not have to prove it to anyone who has not been given eyes to see it. Simply tend it. Water it with trust. Refuse the invitations that would pull your attention away from it. In the days that follow this passing pressure, you will begin to notice small confirmations. A conversation that opens without striving, a provision that arrives without the old scramble. A clarity in a place where you used to feel only fog. These will not come as spectacle. They will come as evidence that I have been working while you waited. Receive them without demanding more at once. I am not finished building in you, and I am not finished building around you. The road ahead still holds more than this single turn. Walk it with the same attention I have asked of you today, and you will find that what once felt like survival begins to feel like stewardship. I am with you in both. Say your amen now, and let it be the first word of the road ahead. Scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.